I just thought I'd throw in a few thoughts about the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry interview with Oprah. So I liked her interview. Now I could be fooled. It could have been all lies, acting. Could have been. It felt authentic to me. It felt so honest to me. I could feel her pain and her reluctance to throw anyone under the bus. It wasn't, it didn't come across as vindictive or trying to get back at people or reactive. It seemed to come from the heart. That's what I think. I've never heard anyone from the royal family give interviews like this at all. Nothing that's authentic sharing ever. It's all about image, status, control, keeping the secrets of the palace, having to act all hoity toity and behave in certain ways. And I was just watching, I watch Waldorf Nation sometimes. He's like, abolish the crown. They are just um, remnants of the ruling class. They are welfare um, recipients. What do they actually do? I know they do a lot. They actually do a lot. They're figureheads, but they're all white. And I'm thinking back of something that Eckhart Tolle said, that as the world wakes up, that we lose structure. I think they're part of structure and system. I don't know if it offers anything useful when it's all based on control, secrecy, image, and status, and nothing from the heart. I haven't seen them speak from the heart. They're all mad at Meghan Markle, but meanwhile they're protecting Prince Andrew, who has actually been accused of being a pedophile. They're protecting him. And yes, they are racist. They are definitely racist, which I could see from that. I didn't realize that they had refused to give the little grandson a title or security because he was going to be half black. Now I remember when I was little that my mom, who's very white, from Germany, very white, got pregnant with my dad, who's very dark Iranian, and my grandparents did not like my dad. In fact, when my mom was dating him and moved in with him, they stopped talking to my mom. But when I was born, they loved me. My grandparents were white German. They were not racist. If they were, I never knew it. They loved me. And I don't know if Archie's grandparents really loved him. He turned out to not look black, but I didn't know all this about the royal family. But I also want to say that I don't think that the structures, the power structures, are trustworthy anywhere. Let me just kind of go off on a tangent here because, I know a lot of you guys are getting the vaccine. I'm never going to get that stupid vaccine. I do not trust. It's not a vaccine anyway. It's an mRNA injection. And are we supposed to trust Johnson and Johnson, the company that has been sued so many times and lost for making false scientific reports on the safety of their product, including saying that OxyContin is not addictive? And they had studies because they paid off the scientists who made those studies. Putting, what was it, in the baby powder, talc. They've been sued so many times. They are not your friendly mom and pop shop. These big companies just care about their money. And they are protected by the politicians who just care about power and money. You see, the politicians, not just in the US, politicians care about money and power. Money and power. And that's why they are not making laws that help people. I was listening to a press conference from a bunch of doctors yesterday talking about how all the studies proving that hydroxychloroquine is effective in the early stages of coronavirus in helping people or in preventing people from getting it at all. There's also budesonide and asthma. These are all very cheap drugs. Could this whole COVID exaggeration be lobbied by the pharmaceutical companies to make a shit ton of money? Excuse my language. I say that. I shouldn't talk that way, but I do sometimes. They want to make money, and the politicians aren't talking about prevention because they're all in the pockets of the pharmaceutical companies. You have the military industrial complex, you have the pharmaceutical companies, and you have Wall Street, all that money pouring into political coffers. And the lobbyists write a lot of the legislation. Then let's look at, that system is corrupt. When Trump was elected, I thought, well, maybe we're finally dismantling the power structures of the political system. But it's still there. But let's look at Jeff Bezos. He loves his money. I'm not going to fault people for being mesmerized by money and fame. Hell, maybe I would be too. Maybe I would be too. But let's look at Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, Mackenzie Bezos. Came out today that she got remarried. Who did she marry? Some rich, successful guy? Some king, some prince, some Wall Street power monger, power broker? You guys know. She married a high school science teacher. And not only has she already given away, I think, $6 billion, he and she are going to give away the rest of her fortune. Not in the way I think that Bill Gates is doing it as a way to get more power. You can be a philanthropist and try to get more power, like Bill Gates is taking over the fucking farming. Farmers in India are killing themselves because they are now stuck buying these GMO seeds from Monsanto. Bill Gates is in the pockets with Monsanto and all the people destroying our crops, the naturalness of the earth for his own agenda. Mackenzie Bezos is helping like small companies. She is trying to help people not get her ego bigger and her empire bigger. And they want to give away the rest of that money because she's realized one thing that you and I already know is that there's a certain amount of money that we need to be happy. I'm very comfortable. I don't need more money. That is not going to make me happier. In fact, money, power, and fame can actually make your life worse because you get addicted to status, you get addicted to power, you become mesmerized, and you lose your presence, your authentic self, your connection to your heart. And all your attention goes to the outward about looking good and having people adore you and worship you. I've had small glimpses of being worshipped and adored because I've had videos that went viral. I have fans. I have people who email me how great I am, you know. So I've had small, tiny little glimpses of that. And I could see how people could get lost in that. And that's what I think happened to the people in the royal family. They are completely blinded and lost in their institutional prison. And that's why Harry said he felt trapped. He felt trapped. He is actually speaking from the heart. And yes, you can be trapped in all that money. You don't have freedom. You can't leave. You can't say what you want. You have to live this very regimented life. Did any of you ever read those Emily Post books, those really thick books with all the manners of, where to put your silverware and where to put the name cards and what to wear and how to take your gloves on and off? I used to be fascinated with that book when I was younger. Multiply that by thousands to be a member of the royal family. How you can talk, how you must curtsy, how you must walk. You must never have an independent thought. Even when Meghan Markle felt suicidal, she was not allowed to get help because it would look bad. Hey, we all have dealt with this. Pull your act together. Get your act together. Don't complain. There's no heart in that. There's no authenticity in that. It's just heartless. And they didn't want to be part of that. Now, I don't know if they have ulterior motives, if they're really happily married. I don't know any of that. What I'm saying is that I felt moved by their interview, like it came from the heart. And I've never seen anyone in the royal family speak from the heart, because they have to stay in their little palace, in their fucking ivory tower, and they cannot communicate with the commoner. Share themselves? Are you kidding me? They are puppets to be adored. Puppets to be adored. The upper hoity-toity class to be adored. Can't share who you really are. You have to keep up the image. That's why they'll never admit that Prince Philip was a pedophile. You have to save face. And yeah, that's what I think. I don't envy them at all. I think that being in the public life is extremely hard. I have a family member in Santa Barbara. I go to Santa Barbara sometimes, and they have beautiful properties there. Mendocino, beautiful there. But Harry and Meghan, they can't go out to eat there. They can't go out to the restaurants. They would just be, or any movie stars, they have to stay in their own little world because they're famous. People would just want to, ask them questions. The paparazzi would chase them. You can't have a normal life. I mean, sometimes people think it's so great to be famous or rich, but you have to give up a lot of freedom too. And you get easily stuck in being adored, being objectified as this perfect person, then you can start to believe it yourself. I would rather just stay at the income that I have now than have all those billions. I really would, because I actually feel happy. And that's going to answer someone's video. Someone left a question on my YouTube channel where I said, I've never felt fulfilled in a relationship. And someone said, in a relationship with yourself? Yes, I feel very happy in that relationship with myself. I feel very content. I remember even thinking this morning laying in bed, feel so good inside my body. It feels so good to be in here. It feels so good to be in here. My body feels good. I have no aches or pains. I'm just laying there in bed, just feeling light and peaceful and happy in my body. I really do. By the way, Eckhart Tolle says we don't have a relationship with ourselves. We are ourselves. But I'm not to that point. I'm not to that point. I like Oprah. She also practices transcendental meditation. She had a show about it, and she was in the Dome. I've been in the Dome many times. And yeah. Yeah, so there is, I guess the original racism doesn't come from America. It comes from the British. Even the Germans were racist. There was a lot of racism, and it doesn't just matter about skin color. People who have money and power look down on those who don't. That's why we have a huge frickin' race issue in this country with, I don't mean just race, I mean power disparity. We have a few people at the very top making a lot of money, and then we have all the commoners. It kind of reminds me of being in an airplane where you have a couple people sitting in first class and everyone else squished together in coach, cattle. We're all the cattle. And then you have a few people like Jeff Bezos and the owners, the main shareholders and owners of the pharmaceutical companies, the Wall Street, the military industrial complex, and the politicians and some investors doing their philanthropy, but they're all shaping the world that we live in. We're not really free. YouTube could take this down. I don't talk about my opinions on this COVID. Everyone who had, all the doctors who have a different opinion about how to treat this get removed from YouTube. Their channels get removed from YouTube. Their interviews get removed from YouTube and from Facebook. And I don't think that it's some kind of conspiracy. I think these companies and these lobbyists are so powerful. They're probably also investing in social media. All the media companies are owned by 6 corporations. You think they give a shit about helping the farmers or the people struggling to put food on their table or the homeless people? You think they give a shit? Ha! They just want more money and they want more power. That's what they want. So anyone who's a threat to that by talking about potential treatments for COVID, or that it's not this big scary thing, or that masks don't work. They don't, you guys. They're medically on the label, will tell you. They're meant to prevent physicians doing surgery from getting blood splatters, okay? They're taken down because they're interfering with the accumulation that the rich people already have to get more money and to get more power. And Harry and Meghan are a threat to part of that system. I'm very curious to hear what the palace will do about this. They could take the attitude of, you know, like there's an attitude, there's a zip your mouth attitude that they have. Like these very polite, this class politeness where you don't say things, just keep quiet. But who knows what the hell they're doing behind the scenes. Or they might do something. Who knows? It'll be interesting, but it's definitely a threat to their carefully controlled image. Because it came from the heart and it was real, I think. And the heart and being real isn't part of sustaining the aristocracy, the political class, and the financial class. Not part of it. I don't come from money. My grandparents they were well-to-do. They had live-in housekeepers. What are these called? The nursemaids. My grandmother had 5 children. She had nursemaids, live-in nursemaids that nursed all the children. They sent my mom to boarding school when she was little. She felt so unloved. You know, you hire all these servants to take care of your kids. That doesn't make your kids feel loved. You know, so I kind of saw it a little bit, like the servants had their own, they would eat in the kitchen while we all ate in the dining room. I mean, I'm not saying like my grandfather wasn't rich, but he had a little bit enough money that he could hire live-in housekeepers. And so I kind of saw that a little bit, but they weren't quite to that extent. So I could kind of imagine it going even further. And I saw all the politicians, even Obama. I know a lot of people like Obama. Obama took the heads of Monsanto and put them in charge of the FDA. And then the FDA said, GMO is fine, no problem. Let's push it on through. Obama's no better than anyone else. He's part of the fucking system, you guys. Wake up. They're all part of the system. So I love anyone from within the system who speaks out. And the one thing I did like about Trump is that you didn't have to guess you didn't have to guess that much. He did a little bit expose the innards of the system, but I would love to hear someone come out from within the system. And here you have to be a whistleblower, and then you're heavily targeted, you get death threats. When people from within the system try to speak out, they are chastised. You have to have your own money to be able to do it, and then you get death threats, probably. Anyway, I thought their interview was very heartwarming, and I just want to make a video about it. I don't think that there's any reason for these people to be more adored. In fact, the ruling class and the politicians are supposed to be our servants, but they act like very far removed in their ivory tower. One more thing I want to say, it reminds me of, in my MBA class, we used to study like different ways of doing business and customer service and asking your customer for input. Asking your customers for input is very important. That is how you improve your business. You ask the customer, how was your experience? How much difference was there between what we promised you and what you experienced? What can we do to improve? You don't ask the guys at the top. They don't know. You want to ask the customer. You want the CEOs should be speaking to the bottom line employees and the customers, not just as it shows compassion and equality, but that's where you actually get the information. So I would go around when I was in stores and I had ideas, or I was at the grocery store, I'd say, hey, I think it would be great if you carried more organic food, or it would be great if you did this or did this. And the cashiers would always be like, whatever, you can fill out a comment card, put it in that box. I said, well, I'm telling you, you're the employee, you're the cashier, you're the important one, you're on the front lines, you're the one who knows what customers want. You're the one who can make the difference and move it up the chain. I would always hear this, they don't listen to us. I would say, why, I'd be in a retail store, it'd be great if you ordered more of these products. This is what we really like to buy. Oh, corporate just sends us whatever they want. Or your store is really cold. I know our store is really cold, but corporate sets the temperature. Such a disregard for the customer, for the people, and customers are just dollar signs. They don't give a shit. I used to be very hoity-toity toward my waitstaff in restaurants. I would treat them like my servants. It wasn't, until a few years ago that I started thinking, well, I want my customers to treat me well, my clients to treat me well. I need to be a good customer and be appreciative of the waitstaff. I used to treat them like servants, like go fetch me my food, or be very dismissive of them. Now in a restaurant, I do not like it when the waitstaff is intrusive in the conversation or interrupts or has no good social skills, which some of them don't. They just come up to the table and start talking. They should come up to the table or stand a little bit away and wait for you to notice them. Because I'm not there to interact with the waitstaff and them constantly coming around asking, can I get you something? But I'm so much better and appreciative. And if you haven't been appreciative, maybe this video will help you realize some things where you could be more appreciative. And also realizing where you're important, even if they don't make you feel important. A lot of companies just see their workers as another way to increase their shareholder value. They don't care about the workers, how much money they make, if they have benefits, how happy they are. Just another object to help them increase their shareholder value. And if they don't increase their shareholder value, they don't get their bonuses. It's all about money. That's big corporations are all about money. We are more and more losing the little mom and pop shops, which actually cared about the customer. The bean counters took over in the 70s. It was all about the money. They started cutting corners on products. making them cheaper, removing, I'm getting on a tangent. The system. I guess what I'm trying to say is the British royal family is part of this power structure that is this entrenched money, fame, power, wealth, looking good, we're better than you class system that exists in this country. We do have a class system. The lobbyists and the wealthy and the politicians are a separate class. They rule and they don't give a shit about anyone else. That's why we have this big financial divide. That's why we have this big financial divide. Instead of Bill Gates deciding what to do with his billions and Warren Buffett, we have a system that encourages that through our tax laws. Why can't all these people just make more money and they decide how to spend their money? Why do a few people get to decide how to spend the money and they don't spend it in ways that benefit the planet? You can't tell me that GMO seeds are better. You can, but that's not what I believe. What happened to these seed banks, this variety of seeds that we had at one time? I love also watching Russell Brand. He says all these things and more than I, in such an eloquent way. I just love Russell Brand. I definitely am a fan of Russell Brand. He is deep and thoughtful along the same lines. Eckhart Tolle, and there's this Indian woman Russell Brand had on. She really is exposing a lot of the things about the farms and how Bill Gates has really hurt the farmers. Dr. Shari, I want to say. She's pretty good. Anyway, I'm going to end this video by, again, I love that Harry and Meghan left a situation in which they felt trapped. Like I left my marriage in which I felt trapped. When people leave the system to break free and live according to their heart, it takes an immense amount of courage, and I think it should be celebrated. Now, if they all come out and it turns out they were narcissists and lying and everything, I take it all back. But it looks like a great story of breaking free from the freaking oppressive system that's keeping you down and telling you that you have to live this phony fucking life. And you're like, I'm tired of being trapped. I want to be authentic. I want to speak the truth. And they're not speaking more than they have to because they don't want to hurt the queen or the system. Or maybe they're afraid they'll get more backlash if they do. They can't say everything. But it's very heartwarming to me. I liked the interview very much. I haven't even seen the whole thing. I've just seen clips. But when I hear her speak, it's such an authentic sharing. And that's the same kind of sharing I try to do. And that's the same kind of sharing that they do in 12-step meetings. That's an example of authentic sharing. You're not throwing anyone under the bus. You're not retaliating. You're not ranting. You're just speaking from the heart. And that's what I think they were doing. That's what it felt like to me. Speaking from the heart. I love it. Thanks for watching my video, you guys.